Giving honor to God and all who are here. I want to say a little something about my sister Margie. Margie, her faith, her love of family, her love of home, how we can love and nurture and strengthen home. My big sister Margie, in all of her elegance, always came home. As a kid, growing up, my little friends would always ask me, who is that pretty lady coming to see you at y'all's house? I'd say, that's my big sister Margie. She's coming to visit us, still at home. She always talked about what wasn't right, what was unjust, what was unfair, and what starts with each of us to fix it. We saw prosperity when we saw Margie. We saw what it looked like. We thought about past our conditions and looked at the possibilities. Margie was always upbeat about home. When I'd visit Margie in California, we'd always talk about all of us, home. We'd well up talking about Mama and Daddy, and about T. Arthur, and about Jackie, and about Paul. We discussed Sonny and Louise and Lois beforehand. We talked about how Liz and Emmett Jr. and LC and Ruby and Lisa and Felicia and Valencia and our sister niece Michelle were all doing. And she'd always give me a big hug when she said, Marty, I'm so glad you stayed out of trouble. She'd light up even more when we was talking about Denise, her Denny, Henry Jr., Skip. But Marge would always say, no, Skipper. I said, Marge, oh, we love you, Margie. We love you, Margie. And we love Margie and your love of always of home. It truly is where the heart is. And in all of us who love you so dearly, home is in all of our hearts. Your love of God and family rings eternal. You're always at home for this homecoming. God, love, and peace forever, Margie. We love you.
As my uncle has spoken for the siblings, I guess it is my task to speak for the nieces and nephews. To understand the benefit of having an aunt and an uncle who were successful, you have to understand that a child is a blank canvas. And with understanding that a child is a blank canvas, the indelible impression that an adult can make on that child definitely goes from generation to generation. With a family as large as ours, to understand that I have first cousins that are almost as old as my mother, and for the most part, you have Skipper and Denise and Michelle and Tony Sr., and you had that crop. Then you go on down to my crop, Jimmy, myself, Courtney, Dino, Chavez, and then you jump down again, and then you get Brittany, and you got Jessica, and you get that whole crop. You got Chuck, and then you jump down again, and you get the crop that came behind them. I can vividly remember, because I'm a 70s baby, I can remember going I always look forward to going to two houses. I love going to Aunt Rose's house. I love going to Aunt Margie's house. we always entered in through the garage. When the garage came up, you'll see Uncle Buck's boat, you're gonna see his truck. Sometimes, and of course, again, I'm a 70s baby, you'll see Skipper's, his IROC and his Z28 in the backyard. I think he pulled the motor and the transmission out. You'd enter in, and of course, my big cousin Courtney was, him and Jimmy and Dino were big influences on me. And I can remember Courtney was always the one to get me in trouble. We were at Margie's house, and she had lit the fire for that particular holiday. And Courtney said, let's play the game, who can get their hand closest to the fire. Now for me, and I'll say this, that the closest voice that I'll ever hear to my Aunt Margie's voice will be that of my Aunt Lisa. To Aunt Margie, I don't care how old I became, married, children, all of that, I was always Pepper. The basket name, the nickname will always be there. I was always Pepper, come here. And so with that, I recognized and understood, and it was a humbling experience, because no matter what I achieved or accomplished, I always had to remember what came first. Going to that house, and Tora had all of the toys that she could ever desire. If the room was just filled, she'd kick us out of her room sometimes. Too many boys in my room. This is a girl's room. Aunt Margie was so much of an indelible impression. My wife can tell you, when we get married, I took her by that particular house and said, I will feel as if I have made it when I have a home that is as large as this house or larger. I can remember being young, and Skipper had an IROC, so I wanted a Z28 as well, and I got it. Understand, in regards to those who have come before you, that they make indelible impressions from generation to generation. And my aunt definitely made an indelible impression upon me. Going back, and I'll sit down, to that game that Courtney had us playing in regards to who can stick their hand closest to the fire. Aunt Margie came in and saw what we were doing, and she called me by my name. She said, Pepper, that's something we just don't do. In her words, they were eloquent and straight to the point, but her eyes said something totally different. I definitely got the picture. I will miss those times of seeing her, and I believe the last time that I had an opportunity to talk with her was at my mother's home, where all of the siblings were together. And she said, how are you? I said, I'm well. She said, no, but how are you? Sometimes there's a lot that is said when the least amount of words are said. And she did, as most of my aunts and uncles do. They always try to leave you with something positive, keep doing what you're doing, or something of that standpoint. But those words definitely reached with me, because for the most part with our family, though we desire to be here forever, we won't be. Uncle Bonzel was another one who definitely, when he spoke, and spoke with a few words, you know there was much more behind it. I'm appreciative of being a part of the Jones family. I'm appreciative of the life and the legacy of my aunt, and I definitely will allow the words that she's given me over the course of time to reverberate, and they'll pass from generation to generation, even in my own family. Thanks.